All right, it's Thursday, September 5th, just following up on the SPY. You can see it's now moved down to kind of a first target in the bigger picture. If we look at the daily chart, we expected that inside bar to take out the lows of Tuesday and work into that gap as kind of a first target. So the options here, I bought the 558 puts at 790. I scaled out at 9. They're kind of up over 10 right now. So it's a very nice trade, however you want to, treat it. The question is what happens at this inflection point. If we just get some kind of orderly pause in here, then you still expect lower, but you just have to watch 15-minute structure at this point to determine what happens next. We still have, if we can get through this gap, we still have targets here and here and here and everything else. We still have a red weekly bar that has room to fill all the way down here if it wants to do it as kind of a weekly target, and that can happen, into this week red and then into next week a little bit of follow through. So you never know, anywhere within this zone here, it could start, trying to reverse to the upside. That's going to happen on the daily chart. Maybe you get an inside bar failure, and by the end of the day, you come all the way back up through the open. I don't know. I mean, the open's right, kind of in this area. So we want to see if somehow it rallies all the way back to the open. Maybe you're reversing here, but if it just kind of orderly pauses, then you're expecting lower still, and you're going to hold that weekly, the downward bias on the weekly chart as long as it stays red and doesn't have any signs of reversing. And you want to see how it goes week after week at this point. But anyway, it's a good trade here, buying the puts today on, again, and a little bit of an upside failure to the downside. Bought some puts in here, and now we've continued lower. So, all kinds of ways to monitor this. And again, this was kind of the first target here, but there's even more room to fill down to the downside. So I'm not expecting any, real bounce at this point other than just a pause. And then we'll see if it heads lower, as the day goes on. And if it really works out well, it'll be one push, pause, second push down. So good trade on the SPY. Again, buying puts here today after the move up, and there was a similar kind of buy or sell, of the market, or buy of puts here on its failure on that move up as well. Didn't quite move as strongly lower yesterday, but then today, after kind of pausing 2 inside days, we're now continuing that downtrend that unfolded here, kind of almost like pausing, making a second wave down to some of these targets down here. So bias to the downside is discussed way back, a few days ago, and we'll just have to see at each inflection point what happens, judging 15-minute price action.